What's up, Otis Funkmeyer? I've been a little off because I've been having all kind of audio and video issues, but that's neither here nor there. I'm in a weird place right now because I just learned about two black guys just getting shot by the cops, and both of them have like hardcore video. I highly recommend you look into this. It's really horrifying, and my hope is that, you know, there's a straw that breaks the camel's back and that people, rise up together to create a world where things are different than this. And my prayers to everyone involved and affected, and may we live in a world where we all have the opportunities to live happily and freely, as I do. I live very happily and very freely. And my dream is that everyone has that opportunity. I know I don't know how related this is to popping, but it makes me want to go deeper for some reason. I've been sent all these videos, people, the whole like G-style electric boogaloo's politics has come up, and I have a intimate familiarity with this, and I kind of consider myself neutral. I definitely was like an EB clone, so to speak, meaning that people considered me somebody who defended the boogaloos and was into boogaloo. And I had sort of like my own falling out when Sugar Pop and Todd had a physical thing go on that I've talked about in other videos. And I started questioning a lot, and these videos were sent to me that are about the history of popping and just other ways of looking at the history. And I just felt like it's about time that I start addressing this stuff at some level. Now, I want to say, first of all, I'm on no one's side. I feel like that's the best thing about me and about my life that I've created. I don't have a crew. Nobody claims me. A lot of people from all of these different camps like me, and a lot of the people from all these camps don't like me. And I'm cool with that. And my hope is to help be somebody who gets down to like as close as we can get to the actual truth or truths. So with that said, I'm going to show one that was brought to my attention by the homie Vinsanity, who I don't know, but it's like it feels like sort of like brother from another mother kind of guy, a guy who really is into the dance and really just wants to get the information out there. And he's also a really good filmmaker. I have a lot of respect for him and what he's doing. So this is a video he did very recently with the homie OG Jeckle. Jeckle is the homie, and he was super close with Pop and Todd, who I'm obviously super close with. And I think he makes some really special points that I want to listen to and then talk about. So this video is likely to be very kind of a lot of pausing and me talking. So here we go.
Back in the day, they said you were either a locker or a pop locker in Los Angeles.
So let's check that out again.
Back in the day, they said you were either a locker or a pop locker in Los Angeles.
So what I was taught is that this is not true. That he's lying, or he's stupid, or he doesn't know what he's talking about. And what I've come to see is that is complete bullshit. That is just a total bald-faced lie. This guy's history and the history of people like Mr. Animation and everybody from Pomona and Chuco and all of the LA dudes is just as valid as anybody else's. And it's been completely verified to me now that I live that hood life that people from the streets call this dance pop locking. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. No one from the streets that I've ever met has called it popping, except people who have been sort of like had a friend who was like into the dance and got educated about popping. So not to mention the fact that the vast majority of people from the streets, especially amateur people. See, the thing is that pop locking is like dubstep dancing, right? It's a fucked up name, right? So this is actually genius, frankly, what I'm saying right now. This is a perfect analogy. Pop lockers are the dubstep dancers of the 80s. There were two dances called locking and called popping, but when people saw them, they just ended up calling them pop locking. And there was the song West Coast pop locking, right? Pop locking in the Rolls Royce Cadillac, pop locking in the Holiday Inn, right? And that's how people heard about it. Just like, most people know about popping now because they saw fucking Nonstop dance to their favorite dubstep song, right? Like that's what they think of it. They don't know. And the people that don't know about things are always going to vastly outnumber the people that know about things. That's like how pop culture works. And so we can be historians, we can be analytical, we can be the people that really know, and we can know that there's a dance called popping and there's a dance called locking, and they have different foundations and they have different music styles that they go to. But that doesn't change the fact that this is a real person, OG Jekyll, who's dope as fuck, and this is his story and how he grew up. And it's not wrong, just like dubstep dancing isn't wrong. Telling people that their story is wrong is very much in line with the whole thing that is happening when people are telling black people that, like, the cops aren't doing this to you. It's just coincidental. It's telling people that their story and their experience is wrong. And so it's very fitting to me that this video is being made on this day. So props to Vinsanity for the dope images.
Pop locking is an LA flavor of popping.
There you go.
Period. You go to Watts, you go to Compton, you go to all kinds of different hoods, they'll clarify, yeah.
So look at his style. Let's look at his style.
All kinds of
this is like a dubstep dance style when you think about it. Look, tick, waves, kind of weird glidey walks. It's not an orthodox style.
West Coast pop lock, but it was born in Los Angeles. They met a West Coast flavor, and it's mixed with many styles. From animated to ticking to tutting to roboting.
What does that sound like? That sounds like dubstep dance.
There was no rules.
No rules, like dubstep dance. No respect for some idea of a particular foundation. You can almost picture this guy as like an old dubstep dancer.
There was no confusion between the word locking and pop locking. Pop lockers were black and white, old English lettering. There was a whole dress code, a whole look. Where lockers were more funky.
You knew it, right? You knew it. You could look at someone and say they were a locker or a pop locker.
Funny. It was more of a get happy dance.
I mean, okay. So first of all, I wasn't there. I was born in 1980 in fucking Maine, right? In the middle of the woods. What I've finally come to, though, is that this dude isn't lying. This is not some huge conspiracy where he's trying to get you to believe his story. He lived his story and he's telling you his story, and it's kind of insane in retrospect that it's taken this long for me to just like listen to his story.
This word, I take it and I absorb it, and because I've lived it. I wore it on the back of my shirt. And
there you go, man. I lived it.
It's something that's real to me,
And you can see it. I mean, props to Slick Dog, G style. Look at that. That's some G shit. Guns and Old English. I mean, you're talking like NWA, you're talking like Uzis and semis, right? All the LA shit that is in the pop culture of us, like Raiders hats and the whole thing. Of course, this is a little earlier, but I'm saying it's that same like ghetto vibe that LA was famous for in that period of time. Cocaine trafficking, crack, all of that. And when you think about the electric boogaloo style, it's not like that at all. It's a much earlier thing. You can feel that it kind of is like from Fresno, It's like a whole other funk thing. It's obvious when you actually look at it. It's just that everyone, for the most part, props to Jekyll. He doesn't seem to be doing that at all. Everyone's trying to get you to believe their version. And if you just piece together all the versions, you get a really simplified understanding. It started in the Bay Area. The Boogaloos came along with Sam and everybody and popularized it. It then started spreading and got you could call it watered down, which is one way of looking at pop locking and dubstep dancing, but you could also just look at it as a mutation or a fork. It got forked and it went into this whole other thing because the culture of LA was about some gangster shit, which is why I keep this gun image on. Look at that. That's fucking, I'll pop you. It's for real.
It's something that's real to me, And today I've been able to pass on my heritage. I call it my heritage, my street heritage. People need to recognize is that we all have our own history and that no one owns this dance and not one man made this up, because that's impossible. It's almost like saying I made up music, and that's nearly impossible because there's so many different types of music.
So let's listen to that again too.
Because that's impossible. Not one man made this up, because that's impossible. It's almost like saying I made up music. And that's nearly impossible because there's so many different types of music.
So again, this is such a logical statement when you hear it. Now, when this is a super outdated statement that I'm about to say, and neither of the people that I'm going to reference may still abide by this statement, but two of the people that I really thought about and whose opinions have really influenced me or made me think are Buddha Stretch and Brian Greene, who I've talked to both of them at length about these issues long time ago, right? So they may their ideas and opinions may have evolved just like mine have. But what Brian Greene said is that the genius of Boogaloo Sam was that he took all of these kind of disparate elements, these party dances, and he put them together into something that was packageable. And I don't mean that in a marketable sense. I mean that in a ballet sense. If you look at the history of ballet, which I have at great length, I wrote long papers on the difference between ballet and we'll say street dance, Africanist dance. What you find is that originally ballet was made up of a bunch of folk dances, right? In ballet, you have pas de bourrée, pas de chat. These are the cat step. I can't remember what bourrée means. I'm sure somebody in here knows. But these are steps. They're different steps that got put together, and they had this foundation of the turnout and of the plie and a rond de jambe, all these things spinning. And it got turned into this thing, this court dance called ballet. Somebody like Louis XIV or some kind of aristocrat pulled it all together and created this official dance that could be packaged and could be learned. And if you learned all of those steps, it was like a whole thing. Similarly, what Brian Greene said at that time was that that's what Sam did. He took all of these things, something like a Romeo twist or a twistoflex or a walkout or, Oakland Boogaloo or air posing or sacking, all of these steps that came from the Bay Area, and he kind of combined them all into a thing that you could learn. It was like a whole packaged thing. And that there's a real genius to that. That you can make a real case that that's the kind of person Steve Jobs was. He didn't invent anything, but he saw, for instance, with the iPhone, he saw the Gorilla Glass from Corning, which wasn't even a real product. You can Google all this stuff. I'm not going to explain too much. And they weren't making it on a mass level. And he's like, I want that, and I want a lot of it. That's what I need for my phone. So he looked around for all of the things that existed. Even the Mac operating system, for those who know, was basically created at a place called Xerox PARC. And Steve Jobs got an invitation to go look at it, and he saw it, and he's like, that's it. That's my thing. And he took it from them, and he made the graphical user interface. So he didn't invent any of it, but he had the foresight to see this, and this, if you put them together, is a thing. And Boogaloo Sam did that too, because clearly you cannot deny that this is the guy whose group got on Soul Train. This is the group who was able to claim we're the ones, right? And whether or not the objective truth is that, it needs to be respected, which is why I will never go into the anti-EB camp, because that would be so disingenuous to underplay everything that the Boogaloos actually did pioneer and actually did bring to the table in terms of spreading and popularizing and innovating on the dance. So let's go.
From different areas and different places. Popping and pop locking are both two styles that need to be recognized out of Los Angeles, because Boogaloo wasn't our style, and I
Boogaloo
don't care
wasn't our
what
style,
anybody says.
and I
That's
don't
a
care what
northern
anybody
popping
says.
style,
That's a
and they
northern
have their own
popping
flavor,
style.
and we have our own, and it's respect for respect, and also people need to recognize that people were creating at the same time. And
so another thing I want to say, I bet Jeckle would back me up on this. I live in LA. For those who know LA, Jeckle, if you watch this, bro, I'm at Venice and Fairfax, Pico La Brea, Venice La Brea, Washington La Brea. That shit, I'll fucking meet you on the corner. I can walk there. I can get on my bike and head over there. I'm in LA. I'm in mid-city LA. That's where I'm sitting recording this. That's where I've lived for 10 years. I'm up in this bitch. And I'll tell you, how many times I've been to Long Beach in the past 5 years? Like 4 times. I've been to Long Beach like 4 times. Long Beach is a motherfucker, man. Long Beach is like 40 minutes away. It's not LA. It's out there. If I lived in Long Beach, I'd claim LA like everyone in Long Beach does for the most part. But that's not LA. That's Long Beach. So what he's saying to me, what people would never know if you don't live here, because I never would have known it, and I didn't know it until I lived here, is Long Beach is not LA. Like, they could have their own things going on. So if Jeckle's in LA, in the Valley, in downtown, East Los Angeles, Boyle Heights, you're not seeing what's going on in Long Beach. So Long Beach could have its own thing going on, just like LA could have its own thing going on, just like Pomona. I was just out in Pomona. Why the hell was I out there? I went to, just so everybody knows the kind of guy I am, I went to see this place in Hesperia, California. It's called Cal Earth Architecture Institute. They're building off-grid earth bag homes. Look it up. It's real shit. The guy's name is Nasser Khalili. You're seeing another side to me. So I was out there, and on the way home, we went through Pomona and Claremont. Bro, that shit that's fucking far as shit. That is not LA. I don't care what anybody says. Like, I live in LA, in Los Angeles City, 90016. That is not LA. So, especially in the 80s, man, are you kidding me? That shit may as well have been fucking Alaska. Like, it's out there in its own world. So no wonder Pomona had a whole scene that developed around waving. No wonder Long Beach had a whole style that developed around boogaloo and popping. No wonder LA had pop locking. The thing is that when you don't know the places, you just think it's all LA and none of it sounds very far. That's at least what I've gotten to. But it's easy to imagine these places now, from my perspective, developing totally separate things with different names for things and different ways of dressing and identifying. And so that's really the pushback for me against the EBs, is that they claimed everybody and not everybody claims them. And so they did this at a time when nobody knew. Jeckle was not around, so now everybody comes back, and now it makes sense. And to me, the main thing is if people could just admit that they're part of a lineage, like Jeckle is saying. Nobody invented this. It comes through, like, when I was talking to Pop-Tart back in the day, the Black Messengers go back to the Temptations and to the military. Millions of black guys were getting out of, I may be exaggerating, it may not be millions, but it might be. Thousands or millions of black guys were in the army in Vietnam, and so much of early popping is like salute. The Necco flex is like an about face in the military. My wife's daughter is an officer in the Navy. She showed me an about face. It looks like a fucking Necco flex. So all of these things are part of this huge lineage, the group routines. That's like the Temptations, right? So all of this goes back and back and back and back. And to deny that Boogaloo Sam and the Electric Boogaloos are a huge link in the chain is totally disingenuous. But to it's just as disingenuous to claim that they have their own chain, that they're not part of any chain, that it just came out of nowhere, it just burst onto the scene from Fresno, California. Fresno is just another one of these places like Pomona or Long Beach. It's so remote that things can bubble up out of there. This happens all the time. You see music scenes that just pop up out of these weird cities. Seattle is a perfect example. Nirvana, Pearl Jam, all the grunge. It's just up there in the corner. Nobody's paying attention to Seattle. And because of that, this whole thing forms. Or punk music in Boston, right? Or ska, like Mighty Mighty Boss Tones and all of that. Or the beat scene in LA. You just get these things that pop up out of places. So when you really think like that, and then you start thinking about the story and the history of popping, I guarantee you a lot of the confusing things that people are saying and trying to get you to believe what they believe will make a lot more sense and be a lot easier to take in. So let's continue.
We have our own. And it's respect for respect, you know? And also people need to recognize that people were creating at the same time. And there wasn't many cameras around, so you can't say Manny, Mo, and Jack made up those three moves when actually Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and Goofy were over here doing the same thing but in a different way.
The boy's spinning facts right now.
Maybe a little bit harder, but they were doing it more in a humorous way. But
right, see? So I don't know if that was clear. One guy was doing it harder, one guy was doing it in a humorous way, right? That's where you get the Pomona style, the Long Beach style, the LA style, the Sacramento style, the Richmond style, the San Francisco style, the Oakland style, the Fresno style. And when you put them all together, you see that these are all outgrowths of the same thing. You know, to go computer geek on you, it's like flavors of Unix. You have Linux, you have BSD, you have Minix, you have... And then in Linux, you have Ubuntu and you have Mint and you have all these things. I'm not even into all that shit, but I know about it. And so it's like, yeah, dude, everybody's got their own thing. And this one's going to claim this and that one's going to claim that. And even Linus Torvalds, who did create Linux, like he based it on other operating systems. Linux stands for Linux is not Unix, Linux. And the reason for that is because Unix was commercial and he wanted to make an offshoot. I'm going way off on a tangent here. But if you can smell me, you'll see that like that's the deal. That's what's actually going on, is a lot of forking of different things. And if you look at the overall ecosystem, you get the actual picture. It's like a hologram.
Basically doing the same thing. That's why when I had youngsters come up to me and said, yeah, well, I was told by certain individual, if I'm not doing this or that, then I'm not popping. In the hood, there was no rules. The rule was you beat that motherfucker. You put him to shame.
Again,
and you take him down. That's it.
Battle rap.
You know,
like
it was your dance against
dubstep
his.
dance, your
and
dance
your job
against
was
his.
To be more creative
This is his story. Right? In other people, it might be you had to be popping. And you see that in me. When I do commentaries, I'm like, oh, he's not popping. He's not hitting, right? And so you're seeing my bias, right? But it is just my bias. I am just some guy, right? So Jekyll has a different thing. It's like who got down fucking harder. So he might say somebody who's like doing ballet beats the popper because you're like, yo, that ballet dancer got down harder. I would never say that, but... because it's like, who's the better popper? But that doesn't mean that I'm right, and it doesn't mean that he's wrong.
Your job was to be harder than him.
Harder.
And your job was to last longer than him.
Last longer. So, see, that's another thing. J-Rock talks about that a lot. One of the whack things about contests is that it doesn't show stamina. Circle battles can go 10 rounds, right? Like, can you last? Who can outlast the other person? I'll tell you, man, I've battled like 5 rounds. I'm fucking exhausted after that. Like, it's a fucking workout. So it's like mixed martial arts or something. You know, these motherfuckers, you have to be a gangster to go 3 rounds, 5 minutes. You go 5 rounds, 5 minutes, you're like the best in the world because it's so intense. So see, these are the things he values. I don't value this stuff at all, but it's like I'm listening and I'm learning to see like all these other ways of looking at it. And that's what I would encourage you to do, is just add my perspective. If you're listening to me, Just add it to the piece of the puzzle. Listen to Pop and Pete, listen to Jekyll, listen to Slick Dog, and form your own opinion. And you'll get there, because basically it's like religions. All paths lead to the same thing. If you really boil them all down, they're all saying like focus on love, be a good person, be honest, work hard, be good to your community, and leave the world a better place than you found it, right? And then they just have like a million different ways of saying it. And if you get caught up in all of their wars, it's wars. Look at our world right now. It's wars on religion, right? So like the purity of all of the religions, though, is amazing, right? They're all at their core, if you cut out the bullshit, they're telling you to like be a wonderful person, like try to be the best person you can be.
Make a point to walk in that hood and be able to walk out with your name.
Your name.
And your name meant everything. You know, it wasn't about money. It wasn't about fame. It was about respect.
So that was some chill ass shit. Like, I'm really glad we went there. I think we're gonna go a lot farther. And you know what? Just for shits and giggles, I'm gonna let's watch Jekyll get down now. Let's watch Jekyll get down. All right, we got OG Jekyll. This is the bop walk. Look at the similarities between the bop walk and creeping, right? You can see it's like a variation. This is hard, dude. And there's kind of some polyrhythms going on here. You can see his arms are popping at a different rhythm and the legs are moving. Little ahead of the music. There we go. This is some gangster shit, bro. I see some Steen in here. I'm not saying they know about each other, but there's a lot of similarities. This waving reminds me of Frantic. I didn't realize the influence that Jekyll may have had on Frantic. And some ill-ass moonwalking. You see a lot of where the G-style feel comes from. This is dope, dude. I want to dance like this. That hard-ass popping. Little ahead of the music, Jekyll. Not always, but when you get hype. It's tight ticking, bro. You can see the whole gangster feel. Everything about it. The music he's dancing to, throwing up the dub, pop you with the 9, loked out. It's a whole different thing. And he's so trill with it. It's authentic. I can't do this. I'm not this guy. I'm a white boy from Maine. You know, let's not kid ourselves. You see it though. You see it with Playboy Eddie. So you can tell there was a whole LA thing. And it's a dope style. So what I would... Let's see. Let's check these tuts out. It's tight. You can see there's a way in which it's a basic style. It's a style that's taken basics to a high level, right? So I would say, I'm just going to keep it real, I think that this style needs to evolve to have more musicality, to bring it into the modern era. And in addition to that, is that it? I think that's it, actually. I think just bring... Oh, the tuts. Yeah, the tuts are locked in an older era of tuts. The waves hold up for today. The popping holds up. But the waves and the tuts... No, sorry, not the waves and the tuts. The tuts and the musicality are still, like, left back in the 80s. I mean, it's an ill tutting style. I'm not saying you should change the tutting, but all of this stuff, the inner tuts... expand that like Mr. Reed did. That's dope. Jekyll, I hope I see you real soon, man. I haven't seen you in a long time. Jekyll was always real cool to me, man. I really like Jekyll. And again, he's super close with the homie Pop and Todd. And he always told me I should be a waiver. He's like, bro, when I see you, I'm like, you should be a waiver. You have the body of a waiver. So I'm going to keep that in mind, Jekyll. Thank you, bro. All right, so I think that's enough, man. I just said a lot. So, my prayers for a beautiful world, and I really hope we can learn to see the beauty in all things, and then we can also take some things off a pedestal, which we had put on a pedestal, whether it's me taking the Boogaloos off of a pedestal, or some of you watching this, you say you were so into G-Style, taking G-Style off a pedestal. And for people like me, seeing the value more in pop locking and G-Style, and for the G-Style people, seeing the value more in the Boogaloo style, because that's how we evolve the dance, is appreciating everything and taking the best elements of all of it. Just like religion, just like culture, just like our races. We all have good parts and less good parts, and if we can take the good and leave the bad alone and appreciate what everyone has in their piece of the puzzle, that's the world that I am going into, is unity through diversity. We all become one through respecting and celebrating each other's uniqueness, and through being more and more individuals and more ourselves. Thanks, guys. That felt really good to say. I feel a lot better. I feel like, this is my way of doing my part to honor these people whose lives were lost in a weird way. I'm not out there protesting, but it's like I wanna just have the world be a more real, more honest place. And it's like, let's just look at what's actually happening and go from there. Okay. Much love, guys. Peace out.